His voice cuts through my attempt to speak up. If it weren't for those spreadsheets and investments, this money wouldn't be available. And this isn't about how I handle my finances. It's about respecting boundaries and other people's property. Something you clearly don't get. Hey Drake, I checked my investment portfolio again for the third time today. The numbers light up my screen, and a smile spreads across my face as I recall how I started with nothing but determination and a spreadsheet 5 years ago. My phone buzzes, and Liz's message appears on the screen. Found the perfect resort in Bali. Ocean views, private beach, infinity pool. Just 12,000 for 2 weeks. We deserve this. My stomach tightens as the word we echoes in my mind. I tap my fingers on the desk, staring at those 3 digits. 12K. That's 3 months of careful saving, gone in just 2 weeks. I minimize my portfolio and pull up the spreadsheet where I track every dollar. Each entry is a reminder of something I've turned down over the years. No to the downtown apartment with a rooftop garden. No to the sleek Tesla my coworker leased. No to the artisanal coffee shop downstairs. Liz doesn't get these spreadsheets. She rolls her eyes when I show them to her, calling me her sexy accountant. Last week at dinner, she ordered another bottle of wine without checking the price. I watched as she poured, calculating the cost per glass in my mind. "You make 6 figures, babe," she said, reading my expression. "Live a little." My salary, sitting at $120,000, weighs on me. Good money, yes, but it took years of working 60-hour weeks and strategically moving up to reach this point. Meanwhile, Liz thrives in her role as an art teacher, passionate about guiding young minds on her $40,000 salary. I admire her ability to find joy in creating rather than accumulating wealth. The beach outside our rental house sparkles in my memory from last weekend. Liz danced in the waves, her sundress soaked, her hair wild in the wind. "This is living!" she shouted, pulling me into the water. My thoughts about the security deposit on the house melted away in the sound of her laughter. Another message pops up. "Found the cutest local tourist spot. So many amazing temples to see." Our savings can handle it, right? You've been so smart with money. Our money. Those words hit me like cold water. When did my disciplined saving become something we share? 6 months of dating. And suddenly, my years of savings are now considered ours. I swipe through old photos from our early days. Liz surprising me with homemade lunches at work. Me teaching her about index funds over pizza at my apartment. Her eyes glazed over during my explanation, but she listened, nodding between bites. "Your passion for financial planning is adorable," she said. "So responsible. It's sexy how you've got everything figured out." I hear my mother's voice echo from childhood. "Money doesn't grow on trees, Drake." I watched her clip coupons every Sunday, stacking them by expiration date. She worked 2 jobs after Dad left, teaching me the value of financial independence without saying a word. Now I stand at the window of my office, watching people pour into the coffee shop below. My coworkers tease me about bringing lunch from home and about my 5-year-old Honda. They don't see the freedom in my bank account, the power of compound interest, the security that comes with saying no. Last night, Liz and I walked through her favorite art gallery. She stopped in front of a massive abstract painting, colors swirling like a storm. "Sometimes beauty costs money," she whispered, squeezing my hand. The price tag read $155,000. She didn't suggest buying it, but her eyes lingered on it. I recognized that look, the same one she gives the resort photos lighting up my phone. I close my portfolio app and open our message thread, my cursor blinking as I think about how to respond. The numbers swirl in my head. Her $40,000, my $120,000, the $12,000 for Bali, and the well-planned path to early retirement. More messages pop up. They have a spa package too. Imagine couples massages with ocean views. Each notification chips away at my resolve. I've built this financial fortress brick by brick, spreadsheet by spreadsheet. Now, Liz stands at the gates, not with a battering ram, but with dreams of sunsets and adventure, promising memories worth more than money. My fingers hover over the keyboard. How do I explain that financial independence isn't about having everything figured out? It's about control, about choosing my own path, about saying yes to the future I've designed, pixel by pixel, dollar by dollar. The resort photos on my screen are beautiful. Pristine beaches, crystal clear pools, a paradise wrapped in a premium price tag. Liz would photograph every sunrise, paint watercolors of the temples, fill our days with spontaneous adventures. She'd make that $12,000 bloom into priceless memories. But beneath the tempting images, a question lingers. When did my carefully constructed financial fortress become our shared escape? My phone buzzes again. Should I book it? The price might go up. The cursor blinks, waiting for me to bridge the gap between her dreams and my spreadsheets, between spontaneity and security. I browse through the Bali resort photos, each swipe revealing another slice of paradise. Drake hasn't responded to my messages yet. He's probably analyzing spreadsheets or calculating ROI or whatever magic he does with numbers. My sexy accountant, always planning for tomorrow, while I chase the sun. My students' watercolors dry on the classroom windowsill. 30 different interpretations of freedom. Paint what makes you happy, I told them. Some chose ice cream cones, others rocket ships. Tommy painted a pile of money. Green rectangles stacked like building blocks. My dad says this makes people happy, he explained. Drake would appreciate Tommy's logic. My phone lights up with booking details. $12,000 for 2 weeks in paradise. My yearly classroom supply budget barely hits $500. But Drake, brilliant, responsible Drake, has saved enough for 10 such trips. In the faculty lounge, the microwave hums as I heat yesterday's pasta. My co-worker Sarah shows off photos from her honeymoon in Greece. How do teachers afford these things? I wonder aloud. Credit cards, honey, she laughs. Or marry rich? I stir my pasta, thinking about Drake's investment portfolio, $500,000. The number dazzles me like a constellation. Beautiful, distant, mysterious. He's worked so hard for every penny. 60-hour weeks, forgotten lunch breaks, networking events where he stands in the corner running calculations on his phone. You've got yourself a keeper, my mother said after meeting him. A man who plans ahead will always provide. But I don't need anyone to provide. My salary pays my bills. My art sells at local galleries. I've built my life, brushstroke by brushstroke, choosing colors over calculations. Still, wouldn't it be magical to share a sunset in Bali? To watch Drake's shoulders finally drop? To see him trade spreadsheets for serenity? Our first real vacation together. A chance to paint him smiling, relaxed, free from his financial fortune. My students return from lunch. Miss Elizabeth, did your boyfriend say yes to Bali? Maria bounces in her seat. I show them the resort photos during art class, teaching perspective using the infinity pool's edge. He's thinking about it, I say, pulling up today's lesson plan. The truth stretches between us like a canvas. 6 months of dating, and I still can't predict his response. Last week, we walked past a Tesla dealership. You could totally afford one, I said, nudging his shoulder. Live a little. He launched into a lecture about depreciation and investment opportunities. I watched his hands move as he spoke, painting pictures with percentages instead of pigments. His passion for planning mirrors mine for art, beautiful in its intensity, even when I don't fully understand it. The bell rings and my students scatter like spilled paint, leaving behind dreams of tropical vacations and unspoken questions about shared futures. I check my phone again, no response. The resort website warns, limited time offer. My cursor hovers over the Book Now button. One click could secure our paradise, force spontaneity into his structured world. But Drake's face appears in my mind, his furrowed brow when I mention our savings, his tight smile at dinner when I ordered the expensive wine. 6 months of dating, and I'm already redrawing the boundaries of his carefully constructed world. My mother's voice echoes. Money talks, reveals character, Elizabeth. Listen carefully. I close the resort tab and open our messages. The photos I've sent remain unanswered, each one a brushstroke in a picture Drake might not want to hang in his gallery. The fluorescent lights flicker overhead as my next class files in. 20 more perspectives to shape, 20 more interpretations of happiness to guide. I tuck my phone away, but the question lingers beneath my nails. When did his financial independence become a wall instead of a window? Okay, class, I announce. Today, we're learning about boundaries in art. The irony isn't lost on me. I scroll through Liz's messages from the past week. Each one lands like a red flag I can no longer ignore. We should renovate the kitchen next spring with our savings. Let's set aside some of our investment money for a down payment. Our emergency fund could cover a new car for me. I grip my phone tighter as another message pops up. Already put down a deposit for Bali. Don't worry, it's refundable. But the resort manager gave us an amazing deal if we book by tomorrow. My stomach drops. She's made a deposit without asking, without discussing it, without any right to my money. After only 6 months of dating, she's acting like she has claim to $250,000 I spent years accumulating. Everything okay? My coworker Mike peers over his monitor. Just relationship stuff, I mutter. Definitely not ours. My phone buzzes again. Found an amazing interior designer for our condo. She has gorgeous ideas for turning the guest room into an art studio. Our savings could transform this place. The presumption takes my breath away. She's making plans for my home now too. A woman who hasn't contributed a dime to my savings is planning renovations with money she didn't earn. I dial her number, anger simmering beneath my measured tone. Hey B, her voice bubbles with unearned confidence. Did you see the resort photos? The infinity pool. We need to talk about boundaries, I say, my voice firm, certain. What boundaries? She sounds genuinely confused, which concerns me even more. We've been together 6 months. Isn't it time we started planning our future? Planning our future doesn't mean spending my money without asking. You put down a deposit without even discussing it with me first. Oh, come on, It's refundable. I'm just trying to be spontaneous with my money. I cut in. Money I spent years saving. Money you had no right to touch. Wow. Her voice hardens. So what am I to you? Just some gold digger. Your actions speak for themselves. We've been dating 6 months. And you're trying to spend my savings like it's a shared account. You're making plans for my condo, like you own it. Where does it end, Liz? I thought we were building something together. Building something together means both people contribute. It doesn't mean one person spends the other's savings. Fine. Her voice turns cold. Keep your precious money. Obviously, it means more to you than I do. What means something to me is respect. Respect for boundaries. Respect for the years of work I put into saving this money. And respect for my right to make decisions about my finances. The line goes dead. I stare at my phone. Her emotional manipulation attempt still rings in my ears. The classic move. Trying to make me feel guilty for protecting my own assets. My phone stays silent. No more messages about Bali. No more renovation plans. No more attempts to spend money she didn't earn. I've protected my financial independence, and in doing so, I've learned something valuable about Liz's character. I sit at our usual coffee shop, stirring my third packet of sugar into my cooling tea. Drake texted an hour ago, "We need to talk." 3 words that echo yesterday's phone call disaster. My artwork hangs on the cafe walls. Local artists get free display space in exchange for bringing in customers. 2 pieces have sold this month, $200 total. A drop in the ocean compared to Drake's savings, but at least they're mine. The morning light catches the watercolors, making them glow. One shows a woman reaching for the stars. I painted it the week I met Drake. Sarah from work texted earlier. "He'll come around. Men are weird about money." But she doesn't understand. Neither did I, really. The weight of my phone in my pocket reminds me of all those messages I sent, each one now reading like a list of crossed boundaries. The bell above the door chimes. Drake arrives precisely on time. His work shirt still crisp, despite the long day. No smile, no kiss. He orders nothing as he sits down. "I've been thinking about yesterday." I start. My fingers wrapped around the cooling mug. "So have I." His voice is quiet but firm. "You crossed a line, Liz. Multiple lines. I was excited about our future. Our future." He leans forward. "You tried to plan a $12,000 vacation with money you have no right to. You're making renovation plans for my condo, like you lived there after 6 months of dating. Put that way, it sounds presumptuous, entitled." My cheeks burn with delayed recognition. I thought we were building something special. Building something doesn't mean you get access to my savings. I've worked and saved for years for that money. Made sacrifices. You don't seem to understand or respect that. You never let anyone in." The words burst out louder than intended. Other customers glance over, and the barista pretends to wipe an already clean counter. "You're so wrapped up in your spreadsheets and investments." "Stop." His tone cuts through my protest. If it weren't for those spreadsheets and investments, this amount wouldn't be there. And this isn't about my financial habits. It's about boundaries, basic respect for other people's property. Something you seem to lack. The tea turns bitter in my mouth. My teacher's salary receipts are in my wallet. $1,186 after taxes, bi-weekly. Not even enough to cover a fraction of the Bali trip I tried to plan with his money. So that's all I am? Someone who lacks respect? You're someone who assumes 6 months of dating gave you rights to my savings. You started planning how to spend my money without even asking. He shakes his head. I can't be with someone who doesn't understand basic boundaries, Liz. We're done. I hope you find someone whose values align better with yours. He stands, straightens his tie, and walks out. No dramatic scene, no raised voices, just the quiet death of possibilities. The coffee shop continues its morning rhythm. The espresso machine hisses. Students tap on laptops, and a young couple at the counter split the cost of their breakfast. I watch them hand over cards, sharing the burden equally. My phone still shows the Bali resort website. The infinity pool blurs through tears. I close the tab, facing reality. I push too hard, too fast. Assume too much. My classroom budget sheet peeks from my bag. $500 for the entire year. Supplies. I've already spent half on watercolors and brushes. The numbers mock me now, while I was planning $1,000 vacations with someone else's money. I can barely fund my own classroom. Tomorrow, I'll face 20 eager faces. Maria will ask about Bali. She's been practicing Indonesian phrases since I mentioned the trip. Tommy will probably show me more drawings of money piles. His child's understanding of happiness, still purer than mine. My art sales ledger shows modest success. 3 pieces last month, 2 this month. Each sale is a small victory, each dollar earned through my own creativity. I had forgotten that pride somewhere between viewing Drake's portfolio and planning renovations to his condo. Outside, fall leaves scatter across the sidewalk. One of my students' mothers waves as she passes. I manage a weak smile, wondering what lesson plan could explain why Miss Elizabeth won't be sharing vacation photos after all. The cafe owner stops by my table. Your paintings bring such life to this place, she says, gesturing to my work. Planning any new pieces? I look at my empty teacup, at the dregs of sugar coating the bottom. Yes, I say finally. I think it's time to start fresh, paint something from my own perspective. She squeezes my shoulder and moves on. Through the window, I watch people hurry past. Couples, singles, families, each carrying their own dreams, their own budgets, their own boundaries. My next paycheck will barely cover rent and utilities. The art supply store is having a sale on canvases. Small ones, but they're mine to fill. Maybe some dreams that need to be painted with your own palette, not someone else's savings account. I pack up my bag, leaving an appropriate tip from my limited budget. Tomorrow's lesson plan sits unfinished, understanding perspective in art. The irony doesn't escape me.